Do you remember what you wanted to grow up to be when you were little? For me, that dream has always been to live in the mountains with my horses. And these days, I constantly feel afraid to pinch myself because I don't want to wake up from this dream. My husband Jason and I have put in years of hard work to get where we are, but we have also been given so many blessings along the way. One of the biggest has been this ranch, and more specifically, the owners who reached out and offered it to us to lease. This property was the next step we needed to really start chasing our dream of adopting and rehoming Mustangs, as well as helping horses and mules that could use a soft place to land for a while before moving on to their forever homes. While this ranch is not ours to keep, we do hope to stay here for quite some time. There are also some exciting things in the works that, if they happen, would truly make this a dream property for not only us, but for the owners as well. But more on that at a later time. Getting this ranch set up and ready for our horses and mules, moving all of our stuff, and trying to get our home ready to sell has taken a lot of time. It has meant less time riding and working with the horses than we would like. But there is finally some light at the end of the tunnel, and I really think this coming year is going to be an amazing one. And today is an exciting day because I'm going to work on saddling one of our recently adopted Mustangs for the very first time. We adopted 3 Mustang fillies a couple of months ago who were rounded up in Wyoming. All 3 have been really fun to gentle and work with, and they each have such unique but amazing personalities. Marley is one of those fillies, and she has been such a great little girl. She is incredibly willing and seems to be up for just about anything you ask of her. I have felt like she's been ready to saddle for a while now, but Jason really wanted to film her first saddling, and he has been pretty busy lately. So we have been waiting until both of us had some free time together, and tonight we finally do. Marley is just a 2-year-old filly. She came from the White Mountain herd management area out of Wyoming. It will still be quite a while before we ever put any rides on her if we end up keeping her that long. We haven't decided yet if we're going to rehome her before we start her under saddle or not. We like to wait until our horses are at least 3 years old before we start them under saddle. Marley is right around 14 hands, so she's not a very large horse. But with her only being 2 years old, she still has quite a bit of growing to do. I have been prepping Marley for the saddle by putting the bareback pad on her a whole bunch, and she definitely doesn't have any concerns about that. This is the first time that we've had this jump set up out here, and she wasn't so sure about it. Sometimes Marley gets a little bit spunky, but it's usually just in the way of a head shake or two. We haven't turned her out in the 100-acre pasture with the other 6 equines that are out there yet because we don't want her to get kicked or ran through a fence. There's quite a few of them out there that she hasn't met yet, and we just want to make sure that none of them end up running her around through a fence or kicking her. It won't be too long before her friends Sue and Cheyenne can just go in with her in her big pen. Marley is such a neat little horse. We've done the string test on her, and she'll probably get around 14 hands or so once she's fully mature. I had her go over the jump a couple times each direction. She seemed to have a lot of fun. She definitely has some extra energy tonight. She hasn't went and ran around with her friends all day. I wish we could turn her out with everyone because I'm sure she would have a blast galloping around the 100-acre field. but I just really don't want her to get injured. I'm just going to use my flag to check on how she's feeling about that. I want to make sure that she's not too reactive with the sound or the movement of it. I've worked a ton on ropes and just dragging those all around her, letting them hang off the side and drag behind her. Saddles have a lot of parts and pieces that can be kind of alarming to young horses, like the stirrups and fenders and even some of the latigos. The breast collar can also be troubling as well. So I want to make sure that she's okay with things kind of tapping against her and flopping around. She was just slightly nervous about this rope kind of tapping on her bareback pad, but she needs to get used to these sounds because there's going to be a lot of clinking and creaking when she's got a saddle on her. It's okay for her to get a little worried about stuff. The main thing I want to make sure of is that she's not going to get really reactive about it. If she were having a hard time with any of these steps, then I would go ahead and just work on that, even if that meant we weren't going to work on the saddle this evening. I always like to have kind of a goal in my mind of what I would like to get done with a horse during that session, but a lot of times it just doesn't end up happening. We find that we switch directions completely. Maybe a horse is having issues with something else, and so we focus on that, or they're doing really good and we breeze past what my goal was. There's times that we get distracted working on something completely different as well, and we don't even accomplish what we set out to do in the first place. But I kind of like to just play it by ear and see what that horse needs me to do with it that day. I'm going to work with this rope on both sides of the horse. It's really important to work on things from each side of the horse. Sometimes they'll be okay about something on their right, but they definitely won't be okay with it on their left, or vice versa. Marley really doesn't get bothered by much, but the one thing she really got bothered from, even from the beginning, was me kind of making a tapping noise on her bareback pad. She just really wanted to move her feet around and scoot around when I would tap on it. But she's learning that that doesn't mean go forward necessarily, and that it's also not going to get her. I really want to make sure that she's okay with this tapping because the stirrups and the fenders are going to be dangling and clanging around, and I don't want that to upset her and really scare her. I don't have my leading hand up asking her to go forward when I'm doing this, so that's her signal to just stand there and that I'm not trying to ask her to move her feet. Another thing that I like to do is just stick this flag underneath the bareback pad. It's not in there very good, so if they were to go scooting around, it would just fall out. But it puts something in their vision back by their hip on the opposite side of the person, so it's getting her used to seeing movement out both sides at once, which can be really scary to some horses. Again, I just want to get her prepped for if she catches the sight of a stirrup or a latigo or anything off that offside when I'm on the other side. I don't want her to panic. We've done this a lot of times, so she's pretty chill about it. She really was never that bothered about it. Even when it falls off, she has no reaction, which I really like. With Marley doing really good with all of her groundwork, it's time to introduce her to the saddle. I also did some rolling the hinds and some other groundwork that Jason ended up not filming. He got distracted doing some self-interviews for a different video we were filming the same day. Marley has actually not seen this saddle pad or saddle. My plan is just to introduce them to her and see how she feels and go from there. I definitely don't need to actually get a saddle on her this evening. The main thing is reading if she's okay with everything and if she's going to be okay to progress. I want the first saddling to be the best experience possible for these horses. Sometimes things happen and horses do get worried, but I definitely try to do my best to set them up so that there won't be any bucking or bolting around or anything like that when I do put the saddle on for the first time. This old saddle pad and saddle have seen many young colts, so they've had their fair share of chews and chomps. It really doesn't bug me if she wants to chew on it a little bit. I actually custom ordered this saddle back when I was in my early 20s for a little quarter horse mare that was built very similar to Marley. It's not the most high-end saddle, but it is decent quality. And it's super light because it's actually a barrel racing saddle. So it's really good for these young horses because this thing only weighs about 15 pounds. Since Marley didn't have too big a reaction about me throwing it on, I'm just gonna move it around and make sure she's okay with it kind of clunking and making noise up there. Before I ever cinch it, I'm gonna go ahead and walk her off with it on her back. I want to make sure that she can see it out of both eyes and that she doesn't panic when she catches it moving on her back. If she goes running around, the saddle's just gonna slide off and we'll just start over and put it back on her back. She has no concern about it being up there, which I really like. I'm gonna throw it on this side as well. Again, I want to do the same thing on both sides and make sure she's okay with it on both sides. You can see she checks out the stirrup there, but she's not too concerned. I actually had this stirrup tied up from back when Rooster had his elbow injury and I was making sure the stirrup wasn't gonna cling into his little elbow. This saddle has basically been in retirement since Rooster needed to be started under saddle. It feels good to pull it out for another up-and-coming Mustang. I'm going to do the same thing on this direction, ask her to walk forward and just kind of gauge her reaction. I'm going to let this saddle slide off on purpose. I like to do that just to see if they kind of blow up or if they're really worried about it. Sometimes saddles on the ground can actually be more scary than a saddle on their back. The main reason I do that is because just in case someday a human does come off of her, I really don't want her to panic and bolt off or kick out at a human if they go flying off and hit the dirt. Hopefully no one ever falls off this horse, but it's always a possibility. Marley's really not too concerned about the saddle. She's more concerned about all the itches that she has. Since she's doing so good, I'm going to let down the cinches and get them adjusted for her. She's had a front cinch because of the bareback pad, but she has yet to have a back cinch on, and she also has never had a breast collar. Again, I've worked with lots of ropes around her though, and getting her comfortable with straps and ropes all over her. This is the part where things can kind of go wrong. When you first start cinching them up, if you haven't prepared them for it or they have a hard time with the cinch around their belly, the worst thing is if you get the cinch partway tight, but not all the way tight to where the saddle can slip underneath them. That can really scare a young horse. So the main thing is I want to make sure I get this front cinch tight enough that if she were to do anything, the saddle's not going to slide around. I'm going to go ahead and do up the back cinch. I'm going to make sure it's tight enough that if she kicked at her belly, she couldn't get a foot hung up in it. The back cinch is also going to help hold the saddle on if she were to do anything. And lastly, I really like to use a breast collar when I'm starting young horses, because that breast collar will certainly hold that saddle from sliding all the way underneath their belly if it does start coming loose. Breast collars can be a little worrisome to some horses though, so it's definitely important to get them used to passing some sort of rope or strap underneath their chest before you go to put on the breast collar. She is officially cinched and saddled. I'm going to go ahead and ask her to move off. I'm just going to have her walk a circle and then I'll go ahead and stop her and just check on everything. I also like to flap the stirrups around and just make sure that those aren't going to spook her. I'm going to have her leave the other direction now. She really couldn't be less concerned with this saddle on her back. She's more focused on the dogs and her friends that are running around in the round corral next to us. The other thing is I don't have Marley in a round corral. The ideal setup would definitely be having her in a little more confined area, but Marley has been so good and she's so good at sticking with me that even if she got concerned, I don't think that she would tear off. I'm going to ask her for the trot with the saddle on because sometimes those stirrups bumping against their sides can be a little bit troublesome to them. We'll do the same thing this direction, but she really does not care. I'm going to lead her over the little jump and just have her kind of pick up her legs while she's got the saddle on and feel that saddle moving in a little bit different way. None of this has bothered her at all. Overall, this was a pretty short session, but it doesn't need to be any longer than this. She successfully was saddled and did so good with it. I'm going to go ahead and untack her. I like to check that she's okay with that cinch coming down before I just let it down and it maybe smacks a leg and spooks her. Then I'll go ahead and undo her front cinch. And once that's loosened up, she's officially unsaddled. I really could not be more pleased with how this little girl did with her first saddling. Once I pull the saddle off their back, I always like to let them check it out for a while.
Well, we're gonna call it a night here with Miss Marley. She's hungry. Can't tell. That's feed time, so we're gonna get everyone fed and get Jason fed some pizza and call it a night. Good girl, Marley. So good.
We will just continue doing small little sessions like this with Marley and saddling, and eventually get the little pack saddle on her, and she could be ponied up in the mountains with that. I'm not in a hurry to rehome this girl because I sure love her, but at some point we'll probably be looking for her forever home. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to watch more sessions with our Mustangs, then don't forget to subscribe.